Welcome back to the Cosy Rosie Crochet channel. I'm in my little crochet corner and I'm taking the opportunity to give you a bit of an update on my own progress on the In the Mood project. The In the Mood projects are the opportunity to select one of 4 different patterns to create a very unique project that is based on the moods that you experience each week. It's already been over a month since we launched the In the Mood tracker, and I'm interested in finding out how you're getting on with tracking your mood. Over the course of today's video, I will be sharing my own In the Mood project, one of which you can just see there, and I'm going to be sharing how it's been impacting on me and my moods. Just to let you know, I have linked both how to get your In the Mood tracker and each of the 4 different pattern options you can choose from. The two blanket designs have been designed by myself, which is Fiona, in case you didn't know, and then Bernadine Graham of Me and My Hook, she's designed 2 different shawl options for you to make as well. So I thought I'd start by talking about the In the Mood tracker. I reused an old folder and kind of set out printing out each of the months, and then I've popped my square in that represent my overall mood. So I'm doing the square blanket as a once a week thing, and then I'm making a row blanket at the moment, or a blanket made from rows that are showcasing my mood per day, because there's still design elements that need to be finished for the projects. As you can see, I haven't quite finished January. I've still got to make my joyous square for that week, and I didn't decide on last week's overall mood. It was an angry week, I think. Maybe even fearful. And then here we are, ready for February. Now there are 2 different ways that people are choosing, and I wanted to know how you're using the In the Mood tracker, because you don't have to print a sheet each week. You can simply print off the month and then just jot down the feeling that you experienced that day, and then work out what your overall mood was for the week, and that determines what stitches you make or which square you make. I have been doing the long form, so I'm writing out a little bit about my day and then my mood, and I'm also selecting which element of the mood. So in the mood tracker, it gives you a list of the descriptions of the moods you might feel and where they would fall within that mood kind of swing, and most definitely mine has been swinging up and down for the whole of January. So let me know how you're using the In the Mood tracker. Do you already have a journal and you're just using that? Or is this a completely new habit for you? I will admit that this is something I may have, over the years, I've kept a journal, I've tracked my moods, I've tracked my food, and just doing my mood is definitely a new habit for me. And it's something that I'm having to remind myself to do. I have somehow got a journal app on my phone. I'm assuming it's an Apple thing. I had a quick look at it, but I'm not a great one for typing away on my phone, so I'm just going to stick with pen and paper. But are you using the long form weekly mood tracker, or are you just keeping it nice and easy and just tracking your overall mood for the day and then assessing that to work out what your overall mood is for the week and therefore what you're making? Let me know in the comments. When we were first showcasing In the Mood, we talked an awful lot about the benefits of tracking our mood, but it is most definitely a bit of a habit that we need to create, making sure that we're tracking our mood regularly, at least a couple of times a week, so we can assess what that overall mood is. It is well documented that tracking your mood can actually create an overall better feeling about how things are in our lives. And I must admit, I'm certainly one, not necessarily to sugarcoat, but I do like to put a positive spin on things. So when I was tracking last week, which was a bit of a stressful one for me, I was definitely making sure I put down kind of how angry, frustrated, rage induced I was, because that's just life and we all feel differently on different days. But it's definitely being aware of what the benefits are, and I think it's important to recognise that this is a unique to you project. No one needs to know why you felt like that or why you're doing that square. It's really important to remember that this is your project. If you haven't been able to keep up with your tracking as yet, that's okay. It really is. This is not a high pressured crochet along. You don't have to do it every single week. It's a fun project that we are doing so that we can create something unique And yeah, there is that added benefit of knowing that tracking our moods is good for us, but there's so much more to it than that. So there's no need to keep tracking or feeling like you're missing out by not doing a week. Just start again the next week and carry on tracking, ready to keep on stitching. It definitely does feel more of a challenge to be tracking those not so nice moods and maybe even being honest with ourselves. As I've mentioned, the last week for me was a little bit on the angry side, just normal life stuff, nothing big or major, just overwhelmed, stressed, those kinds of feelings. I'm going to be sharing with you a little bit of an update a little bit later on with this video, because tracking my moods has certainly hasn't changed my mood, but it's definitely made me more reflective, and I'm going to highlight some of those in case you're also feeling that way and it's a bit overwhelming. Just want to say that it's okay to obviously not be okay. Tracking our moods is definitely a bit of a process, and it's highly likely that you might discover or recognize by being honest with yourself about those feelings you're feeling that it's a bit of a process, and it might be highlighting things within your life that you want to do more of or less of. So the benefits take a little bit of work, but it's definitely going to be worth it long term. I have certainly been spending the month feeling like I am chasing my tail, overworking, overcommitted, not stopping enough, not relaxing enough. And it's certainly been showcasing that I am not managing my time properly. Since we started working on this concept, and I've been planning 2024, which has been kind of ongoing since October, it's kind of put me in a bit of a reflective mood, looking at what I've been doing with my personal life, how life has changed since COVID, since so many different things. And it's got me questioning lots. I started finally my cognitive behavioural therapy, or CBT, kind of 2 weeks ago, which is obviously going to be bringing up lots of different things. The first session was just kind of to find out why I was accessing the service. It is relating to a response to some trauma that I went through last year where my dog was attacked. And that first session of where we were discussing why I was there, it made me realise that I have actually come quite a long way in my journey to working through those feelings, working through the fear element of it, but also that I am potentially covering up feelings and throwing myself into my work, not effectively in any way, but just keeping myself busy so that I'm not dealing with the actual root of the problem. In the last session, I had to, literally the one I had on Thursday, the session was to kind of determine what I wanted to work on, or what the CBT was going to help me improve and change. And I really struggled to find an answer. And there's a number of reasons why that was. Now, I'm not the best at talking about me or my feelings or all that kind of stuff. I do kind of just blurt out what's been happening. So here's another here's a little bit of a recap over what's happened over the last few years. Leaving my job and focusing full-time on Cosy Rosie UK, we then had COVID, and I gave up my job completely after reducing my hours that I was doing. It was at the same time that I was just building up my workshop element of my business, and obviously that all had to close. Changing my job obviously led to some money worries, and then I got another job kind of as we were coming out of COVID. I started working at Hobbycraft part-time. And then sadly, Rosie got poorly, my other dog, whose the business is named after. She passed away from being quite poorly. I then, what else? Gosh, I donated my kidney to my mother-in-law, all while working. And then Emily was attacked. And I think it's just all those changes kind of mounted up. And that was like the icing on the cake that, the straw that broke the camel's back, all of those things. It's all kind of been a bit too much. And that's kind of normal for things to get overwhelming, and all of a sudden you reach that point where you just can't anymore. All of that has kind of left me feeling really quite low. And I think as I'm progressing through and I've started tracking my moods, that thing of working out what it was I want to work on, it made me realise that I'm probably being a little bit poorlier than I realised, and have been hiding away from the things that I really like to do, which is actually socialise, see my friends, get out and about a bit more. I've been avoiding a lot of that, and even seeing the mood fluctuations that I'm experiencing, it's definitely a good thing I've accessed this service, because I think I've got a long way to go to get back onto an even keel of being generally a little bit happier. One of the things that I'm definitely struggling with is what I call my final destination thoughts. So obviously this is a little bit, was triggered by the experience and the trauma of Emily's attack. I call them final destination thoughts because they could be called flashbacks, they could be all of these kind of things. And initially it was just the attack that I was replaying in my mind quite frequently. They have tailed off significantly, and now my final destination thoughts are just more generalized. The official term for them, I think, is catastrophic thinking. And I'm so aware of how thoughts can impact on your daily life and your daily experience that I really want to work on that element. That's what I worked out I needed to improve, is to be more aware of my thought process and kind of try and stop reaching that overwhelm catastrophic thinking. Even kind of saying that to you, it does feel like a bit of an impossibility that that could change, but I know that it can. This is not my first rodeo when it comes to working through mental health issues, and the fact that I can talk to you about this proves that I'm already on the way up. I'm telling myself I'm already on the way up and things are going to keep improving. I don't think the In the Mood project could have come at a more perfect time for me personally, because I am so focused on feeling better and getting my headspace into a better area as well. And I'm hoping that you might not need the project as much as I need it, but it is something that's going to help you to improve your mood overall in your day-to-day life. There is something that I am finding challenging about this project as I'm doing it at the moment. So both Bernadine and I were chatting about this only the other week, because we're both the kind of people that don't have a lot of projects on the go at any one time. Initially I said, oh my god, this is so great, I can have different projects that I can work on. So one week I can do my row blanket, one week I can do my squares and do the previous 4 weeks, work on my shawl doing the previous 4 weeks. And I'm still aiming to do that, but at the minute I have my square blanket, I have my row blanket, which I'm working on doing a row a day. Let me show you my progress so far. So, oh, I can't even fit it on screen. I have the first, I think, 2.5 weeks already stitched up. And you can see that the way that the pattern is written is there is a right side and a wrong side, but the texture shows on both sides of the blanket with all of the stitches except the bubbles. But luckily I've done bubbles and etc. So there is texture on all sides of the blanket, but I am struggling with having this project on the go. I have various other whips, and it's at times I'm finding it a little bit overwhelming. So a little question for you, and do let me know because I'm really interested in this. Are you finding having your In the Mood projects going alongside other projects, is this something you normally do? Am I a little bit unusual not having lots of whips on the go? Who knows? I mean, I can tell you everything that's on my hook, not including, I have a little leftover bag from last year as well. I've got a couple of whips I want to get finished. They're not even going to take long. I just need to find a day to sit down and do it. I do definitely feel that once I've finished those, I'm doing 54 days on this blanket so that I can then write the pattern for the joining and the edging for the squares as well, and for the edging for that blanket, and get the designs finished. I know that I will feel a lot happier that those are ticked off, because I hate having projects hanging over me. I don't work too far in advance, but obviously there are usually, once the testing is done, I'm done. I can do my work and get the project out there and the pattern released, whereas this is taking me a little while, and it just feels like it's nagging at the back of my head that, oh, I need to remember to do that. So I'm enjoying my Sunday crochet time. I didn't work on it this week because I've been doing a different design, and so when I get round to next Sunday, I'm gonna have 2 weeks worth to stitch up. And I'm loving how quick working just 3 rows for each mood is. I still have my actual row blanket to work, which was the original colour that I chose for it. So that's just going to be 1 week per year. So that's going to be a year-long project. Do share with me any tips you have for managing multiple whips and how you deal with it, because it's not something I'm used to, and I'm interested to hear how you do it. Now, this is only a little update and a quick one at that, so Do let me know in the comments how you're progressing with your In the Mood projects. I know I've already asked a question on my community board on YouTube asking whether people are making granny squares or blanket rows, and I was surprised. It's about, I think it was 67% are doing the squares and the rest of us are doing the rows. So it's really interesting to me. I love granny square blankets and I seem to have a lot more of them than I thought I did. And obviously you've just released the Popalicious blanket. If you haven't seen that, that is available on my channel as well. And that is a row blanket and I really enjoyed making it. So it's interesting to see where people are going. And I know that the shawl patterns are very popular. These are the shawl designs that Bernadine made. As I said, everything is linked below for you. She's also making a daily shawl. So if you want to check out how she's progressing, she's sharing that over on her Instagram, which is also linked in the description box for you too. My final thing I want to share with you is just to remember to enjoy the process. If, like me, you are going through a process when it comes to your moods, rest assured we are all here for you. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to face this on your own, but if you do need to access support, please do so. There's so many of us out there accessing different types of support to help us manage our moods, and if you need that extra support, there is absolutely no shame in you accessing that. Don't worry if you're falling behind on tracking your moods. You don't have to be as silly organised as I am. Just print a bit of paper, jot it in the calendar in your phone, whatever works for you. Take a moment each week just to reflect on how your week has been, assess what that overall mood is, and then when you get the chance, stitch up that square, those rows, or that shawl when you can. There's no pressure. This is going to be running all year long. The patterns are always viewable on the website, along with the tutorials for the blankets on my channel as well. There really is no need to be keeping up with the crowd on this one. This is your project and yours alone. I, however, will be back with you at the start of March to give you another little update. I will have had 4 more sessions on my CBT and I will have 4 more weeks tracked and hopefully stitched, because that should mark the end of my row blanket as well. I probably won't have the design done for the edging, but I will share that with you as soon as I can. Thank you so much for joining me for this little update on my own In the Mood projects. I will see you in the next video.